Welcome to my video on the Astronomy magazine from December 1973. It was $1.50. This is the Pleiades. So this is one of the first magazines when it just came out, because this is volume 1, number 9. This is one that I got when I was a teenager, and they must have started the magazine back in 72, late 72. So I just want to go through and just show a few things, kind of neat, a little trip down memory lane here. Cave Astro, those are some of the big telescopes of the day. Those are kind of the top-end amateur telescopes. Oh, here's life on a neutron star. The neutron star, that concept had been around a long time. Not a long time. It was not brand new then. But this is by an interview with Frank Drake. He's the guy of the Drake equation about extraterrestrial life. So he was talking about the theory of the neutron stars, and that's where the density is so great that the nucleus, well, the atom actually implodes essentially, and the electrons and the protons become neutrons. It's extremely dense. One teaspoon would weigh as much as a large building or more. And so this talks about some of the ideas behind the neutron star. And what I remember liking about the Astronomy magazine back then, it really turned into color. Color was not a big thing in magazines, not all magazines, there's some definitely, but it was starting to get a lot of color, and that was neat. Carl Sagan wrote this article, A Message from Earth. It's about the spacecraft that went up then. What was it, the Pioneer 10? Yeah, and it launched in 72, and this is about the message that was there, and that was a big deal. It was engraved on the plate to send out to other worlds in case they found it. They would kind of get some idea of who sent it to them. And if I remember right, I think that's finally stopped transmitting just recently. It turned out to transmit a long time. It's well out past the solar system now, on its way to God knows where. I'm not sure exactly where it's going. Don't know what that's about. Okay, method of detail enhancement. Okay, this had to do with masking. This was back when you did photographs on paper or film, and you had to do all of your work in a darkroom. I remember doing some of that. It was quite involved to get, like here's M17. I've got a picture of this. I did a little video on that not too long ago. And of course there's M42, and I think I posted a video on that too. But it was complicated because you got a lot of this where things would just overexpose. It was really hard to get that out of there. You had to really know what you're doing in the darkroom. I was a mediocre darkroom guy at that time, but you had to move things around and do some shading, and it got involved. But this is what this article is about, teaching you how to do that. And here's a nice little picture of the moon, a little partial eclipse of the sun. Oh, and there's the Comet Kohoutek. I had some pictures of that somewhere. And then this is the Orion Nebula, inside and behind the Orion Nebula, kind of a little anatomy of this. It's always a popular topic. It talks about to the Earth, and here's the clouds in front of it, the trapezium stars, and then the molecular cloud on the inside, and kind of a breakdown of the anatomy of M42. Always a popular item. Oh, here's the sky map for December of 73, and then here you could order one. It's still there, 1 year for $12. Pretty good deal. Okay, here was Meade Telescope ad. Not sure when they started, but they were just, I think it was fairly new at that time. I don't think they exist anymore. Okay, this has got to do with this is kind of the Sky Almanac section, where it talks about Jupiter and the moons of Jupiter and what you can see from the different planets during that period, what they're at and what they're doing. Still have that today. Yeah, here's a more detailed view of where the planets were at on the zodiac and when to see them during that month. Okay, here's the Pleiades. That was be a good winter constellation. You can see this is a nice photograph. Unfortunately, I mean, like in today's world, we would consider this a little overexposed as far as the globs, the star size. That would not be considered a. I've taken better pictures of that, but that's okay. This is 1973. That was, what, 50 years ago? Over 50 years ago, so I can't really compare. Astromarts, some of the stuff you could buy. Okay, here, this is kind of cool. This is a photograph that I could have taken with my 10-inch Newtonian and film. That's about what they turned out like. If you're really good, you get something like this. Most of mine ended up looking like this. And back during that period, this is what a black and white would look like. You would start to see some of the differentiation on the rings and some on the planetary surface. But that was about it, unless you had a really high-end telescope. Here's some drawings showing the different views of Saturn, the different eyepieces, talking a little bit more about Saturn, where to find it, and new views of Comet Kohoutek. I remember that was a pretty bright comet. I got some pictures of that. That was a big deal at the time. Let's see what else we got. A little bit more about Jupiter. Advertisement. Okay, and then life on Jupiter, scientific opinion. We haven't really found any life on Jupiter, probably not any, but who knows. Oh, planet Taurus, nice little poem there. And it talks about the objects in Taurus and the bull constellation. So there'd be Aldebaran, the bright star, red, the Pleiades, and so that would be the constellation. And it's a pretty constellation. The Pleiades is always real popular. It's been mentioned since biblical times. And then here's you go for a little astronomy tour. That looks neat down in Bermuda. And there's my old telescope I told you about in another edition of this. Okay, here's some Celestrons. These are some really nice Celestron telescopes. I've had a few Celestrons over the years. They're good telescopes. Well, I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, give me a kind of like, thumbs up, and please give me a comment if you like this kind of stuff. I've got some old magazines and I enjoy going through them and kind of reminiscing and telling you about the good old days of astronomy. So thank you for watching.